The media intentionally covered up the rapes of tens of thousands of little kids over the last 20 years in the UK, as did the government, as did the social workers, as did the NHS and families and cultural centres and community centres. And this story is probably the biggest story of a scandal of disproportionate amounts that nobody has really talked about. I mean, we're hearing about Jeffrey Epstein left, right, and centre in America, but this story compares to this in the UK. This is the story of the grooming gangs that you've probably heard that term been thrown around. Yeah, there are grooming gangs, but you didn't realize until today just how bad and systematically this was. These are stories of tens of thousands of individuals, if not hundreds of thousands, who were intentionally groomed and raped multiple times and trafficked in such extreme conditions, and the government stayed quiet. The media stayed quiet. The NHS stayed quiet. Not only are they accomplices to this, they are actually negligent to us as a society. And this story, which is one of the hardest stories I've ever had to cover, and trigger warning, because if you don't want to hear about little kids being raped, this is not the video for you. But this story shows us just how far our societies have fallen to not protect our own in hopes of protecting others. And why do I say that? Well, because the grooming gangs, surprise, surprise, are of ethnic groups that aren't innately English, if you get what I'm saying, that came in and built out crazy infrastructures to allow their people to rape left, right, and center and do what they needed to do. And the governments were so afraid of the pushback, the NHS was so afraid of the pushback, the media was so afraid of the pushback that they didn't do anything about it. And so our young girls, our young boys, our society was being destroyed and still is being destroyed by these people. And they didn't say anything because they were afraid of being considered racist. Have you ever heard of anything as disgusting and shocking as that? No, you haven't. Well, welcome to today's episode of The Pushback, in which we uncover the craziness of the grooming gangs happening now because of an independent inquiry run by an MP by the name of Rupert Lowe, who decided that Keir Starmer claiming that there would be a national inquiry into this wasn't going to happen. And so he raised £600,000 in a matter of days, probably the biggest political fundraiser ever, to actually look into what happened and how the UK allowed for so many of their youth to be disrespected and defiled in the way that they were. Guys, this is a hard story. There's no way around it. It's a hard story. Let's read through his X and see, because this week the national inquiry started. Listening to testimonies, it is abundantly clear that countless women in these Pakistani communities knew exactly what their relatives were doing but said nothing. In these towns, thousands and thousands knew. The scale of rape would mean it's impossible not to. Impossible. I spoke to one survivor who stated that the imam knew all about it because his son was raping a 15-year-old friend of our witness, impregnating her. Her words, they look after their own community. Please think about what that means for somebody who understands the consequences of this far better than all of us. In my view, all of these complicit individuals are as guilty as the rapists themselves. This is the ugly truth that almost nobody in Parliament wants to confront, but it's there, it's been there for decades, and we now must have the courage to call this out. Rupert Lowe, okay, is this MP who is honestly super courageous for doing this. We're going to review a few of his tweets because I think this is important, but this is just kind of one small example of the things that we're going to be hearing about. Rupert Lowe asks, the imams who run the mosques, do you think they are aware? The rape gang survivor says, they know 100% because my friend was, when she was 15, sleeping with a guy who was older. She had a baby by him and his dad was an imam. His dad knew and he got his son married and said that he wasn't allowed to see that child. They look after their own community. Here he says, I want to put on the public record my sincere appreciation to those survivors and family members who have come forward through our inquiry and other campaigns. It is not easy. I've seen how difficult it is to talk about the pain and suffering, but their bravery will mean and has meant that others will not go through what they did. This is a very noble cause indeed. I really hope they all understand the good that they are doing and they have already done. Each and every one of them is more good individually than all of the politicians combined. And I can't say that he's wrong. Our rape gang inquiry evidence is going to keep coming and coming. This is what needs to happen. Britain needs to see it, the raw, brutal, horrific truth. Not talk about it for a day or two and then move on as usually happens. MPs get wound up, make a speech, get their social media clip, and then just forget about it. This is going to go on for weeks. We are collecting a vast amount of utterly heartbreaking evidence, and we will release as much as we possibly can within legal and safeguarding constraints. This will not just fall away as it usually does. We are going to relentlessly pursue this. Okay, so this is Rupert's MP, okay? Let's listen to what this says.
The police.
Why do you think the police weren't willing to tackle the men?
The police didn't tackle the men because of racial tensions. That is truly what I believe.
So let's extrapolate out what that actually means. What that means is that the police were quite happy. Well, happy is probably the wrong word, but were happy to turn a blind eye to the rape and torture of children for the sake of racial harmony.
That is the only thing that I can come up with as to why they would allow this to happen.
How does that make you feel as a sister of a victim?
Absolutely disgusted.
Yeah, absolutely disgusted is the correct way to describe it. We're going to keep on reviewing and reading all these tweets, and we're going to piece the stories together. But at the inquiry today, we are focusing on social care. How young girls who are already in such a vulnerable position were failed by the state tasked with their care, with the most horrific consequences. We are hearing again and again how these Muslim gangs preyed on weakness. They probed and investigated to see which girls had inadequate support networks and were emotionally vulnerable. Sadly, children in care provide a target, and the adults responsible for their care entirely failed in their duties, often very deliberately. We have a number of witnesses joining us today who have been through the most awful experiences. We, of course, be keeping you updated about how the day progresses. Okay? So we've got the police who were afraid of some sort of controversy. We've got social care that didn't protect the girls properly. We have this rape gang survivor saying, I was sexually abused by my stepdad, so I think that's what made me vulnerable because I associated abuse with love, and that's what the rape gangs preyed on. Because I'd had abuse my whole life from the age of about 1, that's all I'd ever known, and it was by people who were meant to love me, so when these men said they love me, I associated that with it. We are being presented with evidence that suggests a number of British girls have been trafficked overseas by their rapists. They were groomed, raped, married, and then taken. This has not been widely spoken about, but I'm increasingly concerned that countless girls are currently trapped overseas in a foreign country with their rapists. I'm going to formally request that the Home Office initiates an official investigation. We are expecting more testimonies on this, and we will share as much as we can. It is sickening to think, but I believe that this is the current reality for a terrifying amount of British girls. Are you guys starting to realize how bad this thing is? I mean, it's only going to get worse, so just buckle up. I just feel a little bit sick. This is from 2 minutes ago. I haven't read it yet. Our inquiry has uncovered multiple rape gang survivors who had their abusers attempt to traffic them overseas to Pakistan and elsewhere. They failed. How many did not? We believe that there are a vast number of raped British girls currently being held overseas as sex slaves. I have written to the Home Secretary and I questioned her in Parliament. There is zero appetite to even discuss it. In order to sound the alarm, I have tabled a parliamentary notion, rape gang overseas trafficking, highlighting the concerns. So far, just 2 MPs have supported it. Okay? Listen to this. Earlier this week in our inquiry, I sat across from a woman who was raped and abused by hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of men, all Muslim, mostly Pakistani, some Kurdish, and some Indian. She was transported all over Britain like a piece of meat. When she was 12, she was raped. Not only raped, a glass bottle was forced inside her. It shattered in her body. At 12 years old, for a moment, think about a 12-year-old close to you. She went to hospital. No questions were asked. She told the police. Their response, nothing I can do about that. They asked if the rapes were consenting sex. She didn't even know what consent meant. Please just think about that. So many knew and did nothing. How? How can such evil be tolerated? How? The woman is furious that in 2026 we're still having this conversation, still trying to get people to talk about it. We're trying to change that. The way she conducted herself in her hearing was remarkable, such grace and courage. She has rebuilt her life. Why did she want to tell her story at the inquiry? She said if she can save one soul from going through the same fate, then she's done her job. Just one child, she told the inquiry. She has certainly done that. Okay? Now, part of the problem with these court cases and these inquiries, they're now trying to make it that all court and tribunal transcripts are available free of charge. They want everybody to have access to this, and they've signed this petition, and they got over 100,000 signed on this so quickly because people are fascinated about this. Is fascinated about this. Now, he's pushing the death penalty for anybody who's involved with this. I absolutely believe that. The Afghan small boat migrant found guilty of rape, abduction, sexual assault, and taking an indecent video of a 12-year-old girl shouldn't be deported. He should receive the death penalty. You are correct. Now, again, here's what's interesting about this. It is not being talked about on the media. And I want to show you what Elon Musk posted about this, because this is now being picked up by Elon Musk, and thank God for that. Still no coverage on the BBC of the rape gang inquiry, nothing on the Telegraph, The Sun, The Mail, ITV, Sky, The Express, LBC, Guardian, and The Times. Total silence. It is disgusting. And Elon Musk has responded to that, basically saying the main way that legacy media lies is by choosing the narrative and simply ignoring what just doesn't match far left politics. Britain needs, and here Elon Musk again retweets horrific crimes. Britain needs to understand the sophisticated level of coordination between the rape gangs. It goes far deeper than anybody realizes. A national crime network of the most depraved kind. Our inquiry is finding evidence of advanced links between dozens and dozens of towns and cities. This is not simply a diverse group of savages. This is a coordinated right across the country. The tactics are well rehearsed and well drilled. They know exactly what they're doing. Nothing is off limits to these people. Nothing. And there is zero appetite in Westminster or the media to even discuss it. This is all so much worse than anybody know. The government must not destroy any sensitive court information relating to the rape gangs or any other cases. I just demanded a guarantee from the minister. Okay? The Muslim Council of Britain, of course, the Muslim Council of Britain has stated that certain findings from our rape gang inquiry are Islamophobic. They have worked before to shut down debate. It will not work. Now we are going through to continue our inquiry and we're going to continue telling the truth. Yes, you are. Okay? This is just absolutely insane. If you read this, if you just read through some of the things that he's saying over here, you're just going to be shocked because this is the media, the parliament, this police, the religious systems, so many people are involved in this, and they're being trafficked outside and they're being trafficked inside, and they're on camera saying what happened to them. Like, look at this girl.
So there was back of a lorry, and they were sat there all night calling him Rambo, because apparently he'd gone Rambo on women and children in the Philippines, and he was wanted to be stood on a wall and fired by a firing squad. He was also castrated in Pakistan before he fled to the Philippines for abusing little children there.
So can we break that down a little bit?
Yes.
Pakistani man castrated for abusing children in Pakistan.
Yes.
Then went to where, sorry?
The Philippines.
And what happened to him in the Philippines? Why was he called Rambo?
Apparently they called him Rambo, and they said he went Rambo on women and children. So the film Rambo
What does that mean, Rambo, women and children? I'm aware of the film, but I'm not sure Rambo doing anything to women and children.
Yes, so he went like stabbing, right, with one of them Rambo knives, women and children.
So he then came over to this country.
Yeah,
and he was known for that within the community. And what, was he given a house?
He was an illegal immigrant that came on the back of a lorry. I don't think anyone even knew he was in the country. He was staying with relatives of my abusers in Blackburn. And then he travelled over from Blackburn with relatives of my abusers. And they were laughing and talking about the stuff that he'd done. And he actually sexually abused me and a 14-year-old girl that night. Obviously he couldn't rape us because he didn't have no there, but he tried his best to do everything else he could.
I can't actually listen to it. I can't listen to this. And this is what we're going to summarize this with. People feel uncomfortable reading and watching the testimonies from our inquiry. Good. We should feel uncomfortable. We should feel ashamed that this has been allowed to happen. It is still happening. So the evidence is going to keep coming and coming. I make no apologies for that. The British people need to find and understand what has been happening in our towns and our cities. Not to one girl, not to 100 girls, or even 1,000. We are talking about tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. The scale of rape is unimaginable. Millions and millions of rapes for decades. It is the rape of Britain. So if this evidence being presented to you upsets you, then so be it. That is the point. Time and time again, the scandal has gathered momentum with the public and then just fades away. Nothing changes, nothing happens. The rapes continue. We will not let this happen this time. After this last week and hearing what these women have gone through, I have never felt more determined for anything. Let's be very clear. In the UK, there are grooming gangs who have been systematically searching for little vulnerable girls and raping them. There are millions of rape cases. These people belong to ethnic groups, are mostly Islamic, and mostly illegal immigrants who have come in and built these gangs out. The police have done nothing about it because they're afraid of racial conflict. The government hasn't touched it because it's not too sexy. The families really can't do anything because they're intimidated. The social networks, the NHS, etc., also have done nothing because it might make them seem a little bit politically Islamophobic. Meanwhile, these gangs are continuing to rape little girls, continuing to push the agenda that it's Islamophobic if you say anything about it. And the mainstream media isn't covering this. It's so bad that an independent inquiry had to start because the national inquiry wouldn't move forward. Forget the Me Too movement, guys. Forget any of these movements. This is what is happening in the UK. This story is so much worse than we have been led to believe. You know, when you look at England and when you look at the UK and you see the pictures of, or the videos of the people bowing down to Islam and doing all this religious stuff, you kind of feel a bit frustrated and upset about it. But that's not the problem. Like, if they have religious beliefs and they want to pray, so I guess let them on the streets. But this is what their culture believes in. And this is what they're bringing to England. And this is what is happening to the young English girls. Is there anything else left to say? I know that was a bit messy. We just kind of went through the different comments, but I want you guys to realize how bad this story is, how unbelievably complicated and disgusting this is, and how the government has let everybody down, and how Keir Starmer must step down, but more than that, how we must all step up. Because enough is enough. You can't allow for this to continue. You can't allow for the young girls of Britain to believe that they can be raped and molested by a system that does not care. That won't take the correct documentation, won't review what's really happening, won't actually fight it for you, will claim that maybe it was consensual even though you're 12 years old. In any other place that had an actual normative system, we would know that one or two of these stories is horrific. And we're talking about millions. Millions of sex slaves. What the heck, guys? What the actual heck? Thank you for your attention to this matter.